Picks and Parlay family, it's me, Detroit Lenny, here, joined with Scott Steen and Nick Earl from Earl Sports Bets. Talk a little college football. September 28th, Saturday action, week 5. It's already week 5. Somebody just mentioned that before we started recording. God, it's already week 5. And yeah, we're in the thick of things here, boys, and we're going to talk some college football. You guys are going to like, share, subscribe. Use the promo code below, LENNY20, saves you 20% off. Both these guys, premium plays, best bets, subscription packages, NBA and NHL right around the corner, MLB playoffs. Like I said, football, we're in the thick of things. So save yourself some money. Get yourself some VIP plays at picksandparlays.net. Link in the description of the video. We're going to go over 3 games. And you're going to get 4 plays because you're lucky. You're spoiled is what you guys are. So hit the like button. We're going to start with Scott Steen. Michigan and Minnesota, the battle of the Block M. Michigan minus 9.5. Totals at a 35.5. I don't know, Scott Steen. What are we doing here? Talk to me about this one.
Lenny, Minnesota and Michigan are playing once again for the Little Brown Jug, baby. That's pretty exciting stuff right there. It's an actual physical trophy, and this has been a one-sided situation for Michigan basically since 1897. They've won all but 2 of these games since 1987. That's right. In the last 37 years, the Gophers have won twice. Thanks very much. And they haven't won since 2014. I don't think it's going to get any better. This is a bad matchup for this Minnesota team who does a really great job at stopping the pass, but they got absolutely gashed by the Iowa run game last week for 272 yards, 4 scores on 45 carries. That's better than 6 yards a pop if you're scoring at home. They're like I said, good stopping the pass. Unfortunately, Michigan not going to throw the ball a lot. As far as the Gophers offense goes, that's a team that wants to run the ball, keep the clock moving, limit the possessions for the opposing offense. All the same things Michigan wants to do, except Michigan does it way better. Woody Marks snapped off a 65-yarder last week versus Michigan, but you know what? The Wolverines gave up just 31 yards on the Trojans' other 20 carries as far as the run game goes. This is a Wolverines team that's 10th in rush yards allowed and 20th in yards per carry. I'm not sure how much Minnesota scores. I'm not sure if they can score. I'll take Michigan minus the 9.5.
Just whatever. Michigan minus the 9.5. Find something else to watch, folks. Tiger baseball is available. I just think this game is going to end up. I don't know if Minnesota scores either. I think this game is probably like 18-0 Michigan, and it's just going to annoy the crap out of me. Michigan minus a 9.5 from Scott Steen. Now we're going to talk here. Oklahoma State and Kansas State. Kansas State minus 5, totals at 54.5. Nick Earl, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, we have a Kansas State team that is coming in off of a pretty bad loss against BYU, 38-9. I feel like I've had a pretty decent read on this K-State team. I've bet them 3 weeks in a row. I've bet their games 3 weeks in a row, and I've cashed on all 3. Faded them against Tulane, getting the points. They won and did not cover in that one. Took them with against Arizona, mainly because I was fading Arizona. They won and covered in that game. And then against BYU, I had BYU in that game. And I'm going to look to fade them once again here in this spot. I like Oklahoma State getting the points. They're coming in off of a 22-19 loss against Utah, where that game was an ultimate stay-off spot for me because it was will their starting quarterback play or not? And I don't think Cam Ward ended up playing. Cam Rising, my bad. Cam Rising ended up playing in that game. And previous to that, they looked pretty decent. They took care of business against San Diego State. They won in double overtime against Arkansas. They beat Tulsa by a pretty good margin there. I like them as a dog. I like Oklahoma State as a dog, especially with Gundy under the head coach and role there. He's been a really strong underdog. I'll go ahead. I'll take the points with Oklahoma State here.
There you go. Cowboys +5. I love the points in this matchup. I just think I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes into multiple overtime, something like that. I just think this is a close game here. Cowboys +5. We're going to go right back to Nick Earl. But before we do that, I got to remind everybody, like, share, subscribe, use the promo code below. Save yourself money when you're purchasing any one of these handicappers. Premium plays, picksandparlays.net. Now, Nick Earl, you're going to talk Georgia and Alabama. Bulldogs -2, 48.5 is a total. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, this is what the game of the year, really. The number 2 and the number 4 overall ranked teams in the nation. Alabama, I believe this is the first time they're playing Georgia without Nick Saban. This is a revenge of the SEC championship game last year, which Alabama won and eliminated Georgia from the college football playoff contention. Really, there. Yeah. So kind of interesting little dynamic there. I don't really know what to do with the side at this point. My initial thought was Alabama. The more and more I look at it throughout the week, I kind of think Georgia can probably roll like they did against Clemson. I don't know what to make of that, but I do know that this Georgia team is going to play defense in this game. And I think we can see something very similar to what we saw the first half between them and Clemson, where it's just a grinded out type of defensive game where, both these teams are not going to want to make any mistakes. And a game of this magnitude, I like this game under the total, under 48.5. I don't know if this game even cracks 40. I can see this being one of those 17 to 13 type of games here. And as for the side, I still got to figure that one out.
There you go. Under 48.5, Georgia, Alabama. I think that's just I don't want to say the safest play, but it's the safest play because I don't know where to go in this game. And I just think defense, I don't know if either team scores 20. So I'm going under 48.5 here as well. We're going to go back to this Oklahoma State and Kansas State game. Scott Steen, you got a total for us here in this matchup. What is your thoughts on this one here?
I'm going with the under 54.5 here, Lenny. You look at the stats, and these offenses are almost polar opposite of each other. Oklahoma State's 15th in passing and 115th in rushing. K-State 117th in passing and 16th in rushing. However, I don't think Mike Gundy wants to keep those stats the way they are. He knows his identity is a smash mouth running football team. He wants to get Ollie Gordon going. The passing is not sustainable, and that's not their path to ultimate success, as we saw last week when they went up against Utah and their second-string quarterback. I think he wants to get Ollie Gordon going. As far as K-State goes, it touched on it a little bit earlier. This is a team that had an absolutely dreadful performance last week against the BYU Cougars.
BYU, yeah.
Anything that could go wrong went wrong. They lost a fumble. Avery Johnson threw 2 picks. They had an unbelievable punt return that just defies all odds of probability.
Right.
And I think that if Chris Klieman had any doubts before about the identity of his football team being a running versus passing team, I think that game cemented the fact that Avery Johnson is a great running quarterback, not so much a great passing quarterback, at least not yet. K-State, for all of their faults last week against the Cougars, were still able to run the ball very successfully. Ran 43 times for 228 yards, 5.3 yards per carry, and they did a pretty nice job against the BYU rushing game, holding him to 3.4 yards per carry on 27 totes. I think that was an aberration. I think this K-State team is obviously a lot better than they played last week. I think the defense steps up. I think Chris Klieman gives that team a come-to-Jesus moment, or maybe a whole entire week of come to Jesus.
Right. I was just going to say, yeah.
I think the Cats will be ready. I think they're going to pound the rock, establish their dominance, and I think both of these defenses will be able to do a good enough job to keep this one under the total.
Under 54.5 from Scott Steen. I'm going to give you a quick little recap here. You guys are going to like, share, subscribe. Use the promo code below. We're almost at 50,000. You got to share us out. Share. Scott likes sidewise. Michigan minus the 9.5. Go blue, go yellow. That's all you get from me. He also likes the under 54.5 from Oklahoma State and K-State. And then Nick Earl likes Oklahoma State as far as a side goes, plus those points. And he also likes the under in Georgia, Alabama, under 48.5. Shop your lines, folks. Good luck unless you're against us. We appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next week. Take care, folks.